the results of which have yet to be released. Meanwhile, the FBI says more than 250 agents and employees are on this case to hopefully bring about a rapid conclusion.
A chemtrail comes in, a smoke trail comes in, it's angled down. Ready? Down, it's going down, and then boom, explosion.
Oh my gosh.
So over on the left-hand side, we see the RV. This is the source here, circled in green of the explosion. Ready? Watch this video. There's the aftermath video of the explosion, okay? So there's our detailed information, point of view. The explosion came from the source there, not from the RV.
The list of questions continued to grow due to the mysterious death of Oklahoma City police officer Sergeant Terrence Yakey. Terry Yakey, unlike the rest of Oklahoma, may have known too much.
Tim, the Crime Scene Investigation Division is the largest branch of the GBI, and special agents from the Statesboro office often get called right here to Chatham County to investigate all types of cases, from homicides to crimes against children, even high-profile public corruption cases.
Hey everybody, it's Everett with Ohio for Freedom. What really happened with that Nashville bombing? I think I got an answer for you, and you're not going to like it. Stick around if you dare. Let's go.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be long.
Okay, as usual, let me get some of the housekeeping out of the way. By the way, we are only down 42% from where we were viewership-wise a month ago, but it was down 92%. And the reason that we're gaining, and by the way, we've made most of the ground that we've regained has happened in the last 2 weeks for these 4 reasons. Please like, please share, please subscribe. On YouTube, hit the notifications bell, and this is the big one. Please leave a comment, even if your comment is go away. At this point, it's really appreciated, and it's helping us overcome the Zuckerberg bots. So I want to talk about this Nashville bombing, and I have a theory, and it's a theory that, and we're going to go through a lot of stuff related to this Nashville bombing, and I do have a theory, and it's a theory that I don't think anyone is going to like, but I'm willing to hang my hat on it, and I'm going to share that with you. But let's begin by just looking at how ridiculous the headline for this incident was. Let's do that right now. So I want the most propaganda-laden headline that I can get. So I'm actually on Google for the first time in probably 3 weeks. I've typed in Nashville bomb intentional, and here's my New York Times headline: Nashville explosion appears intentional. RV played warning. Now this is just for fun, y'all. So I go to the New York Times: a warning, then a blast. Nashville explosion was deliberate. But then they want me to subscribe. I'm not spending money on the New York Times, but look at this. This is funny. Support independent journalism. Right. New York Times, independent journalism. That is an oxymoron. Okay, so we could start with the timing, or we could start with the headline. I'm going to start with the headline and then get to the timing. First of all, I want y'all to think about just how ridiculous this headline is. Authorities say it might be intentional. Now, I looked at that, and at first, so it supposedly, this was a bomb that was inside an RV. Now, we're going to challenge that in a little bit, all right? But supposedly, this RV had a bomb in it, and the bomb blows up, and so what? It'd be unintentional? I mean, come on, that happens all the time, right? People are, we all do it. We're just having fun on Christmas, and we're driving around in our RV, and we have a bomb in the RV, and doggone it, that pesky bomb went off unintentionally. It's just completely and totally ridiculous. But then the more I thought about it, I thought, no, this is intentional. And what's intentional about it isn't so much the bomb, which of course that's intentional, but what's intentional is the headline. The headline is, and I never went to PSYOP school. I never went to brainwash school, but this is obviously a PSYOPs kind of headline to throw off I guess the people that don't pay much attention. I was having a conversation with my brother, and, we were talking about that probably half the population out there is normal. They're just normal, good, decent, smart people, and they think along normal lines. And on Christmas Day, they're doing normal Christmas stuff. I mean, like me, I've got people sending me links. I'm looking at links. And I'm absorbing this stuff all the time, so I'm not normal. All right, so the person that's just casually looking at this at a glance, might be intentional, and then they move on. They process other information. But I'm going to come back to this. This is a propaganda psyops headline for something that's completely outlandish. It's an obfuscation, I guess. But then let's go back also to the timing of this. I'm sorry, but if you have ever read a Lee Child novel, okay, or anything about warfare, you know that element of surprise moment is like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, it was 6:30 Central Time, but that would be 5:30 Eastern Time on Christmas. Who made a really, really, really bold move on Christmas morning in our nation's history? Can we remember? Didn't George Washington, when he had a small group of ill-equipped, ill-fed, probably ill troops, and he needed a great victory, and didn't he launch on Christmas Day when, was it the Hessians were not expecting it? So no, this was folks, this was a war move. This was a war terrorist move that was quickly supplied with a ridiculous psyops headline, and I'm willing to hang my hat on that.
This hear this on the event now. If you can hear this message, evacuate now.
All right, so once again, we're going to go through like everything that is known or available at this time about this bombing. But at the end, I'm going to reach a conclusion I don't think you're going to like, but let's just comment on what we just heard. When was the last time that you heard of a terrorist that was warning people to evacuate so that nobody would be killed? I mean, let's just be honest. That is extremely different. I can't think of ever that happening. So obviously they wanted to destroy something or some things without destroying people. What might they have wanted to destroy? Well, let's take a look at this. Quick glance at this article from Natural News from December 26. Here's a headline. Nashville explosion was actually you can read that, strike, and the target was the AT&T NSA hardened switching facility spy hub. We got some video we're going to show you, but let's just read this. The former owner of the building is reportedly Cerebus Capital, which is tied to Yagubzabda, which acquired some ownership of Dominion Voting Systems. Aside from the headline, from the very beginning, everything about this story just seemed kind of manufactured and phony. Oh, I know the event happened, but when it was first reported, at least the first report that I heard, it happened between a Hooters and a church. Well, why did they say that? Yeah, you can see from a piece of video that I played that there was a Hooters nearby, but the target was this AT&T facility. And it wasn't primarily a facility that had lots of office personnel. This was a facility that had mostly, hardware, servers, and that kind of thing. And pretty much early in the day on December the 26th, people were making a connection to Dominion, not only from the owner of a previous owner of this building that was referenced in that article, but also because it seems that AT&T and these facilities might somehow be linked to some upcoming forensic audits that would have to do with Dominion. And of course, everybody now knows that when this went down, and it might still be the case, it's the afternoon of Sunday the 27th, cell coverage reached and clear down to Georgia, all the way up to Kentucky, maybe even a portion of Indiana, and Tennessee has gone out for lots and lots of folks, and internet and 911 has been interrupted. So This was no ordinary kook strike. This was, yeah, you think it was intentional. And then how was it caused? Let's take a look at this.
A chemtrail comes in, a smoke trail comes in, angled down. Ready? Down, it's going down, and then boom, explosion.
Now, let me say very, very quickly for the independent checkers out there, this video doesn't prove anything. I'm not saying that it does. Well, it does prove two things. Number one, it proves that the video exists. Can fact checkers, can you at least agree with that? This video exists. Number two, it proves that some people are suspicious. Okay? Now, audience, for your benefit, I'm going to play that again and I'm going to blow it up. And you're looking for a stem rail, change the first consonants, and draw your own conclusion. And I've had this sent to me several times today, and I appreciate that. But this is out there. People are looking at it. They're talking about it. But I'm going to blow it up one time, and let's play that again real quick.
A chemtrail comes in, a smoke trail comes in, angled down. Ready? Down, it's going down, and then boom, explosion.
Okay, so draw your own conclusion. Draw your own conclusion. Now, just keep in mind, about probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I saw it at least, Epoch Times flashed a news headline that said that airspace over the Nashville area was being protected with deadly force. In other words, don't go flying your plane across Nashville airspace unless you're prepared to be substantially shot down. Okay, so once again, draw your own conclusion. And while you're doing some drawing, draw your conclusion about this one.
So over on the left-hand side, we see the RV. This is the source here, circled in green of the explosion. Ready? Watch this video. There's the aftermath video of the explosion, okay? So there's our detailed information, point of view. The explosion came from the source there, not from the RV.
So once again, what does this video prove? Well, it proves that the video exists, okay? That's all that I'm saying. I can't prove or disprove this, but I can prove that that video exists because I got the clip on my hard drive. It reminds me of that line from the movie Amistad when the one guy was talking about the slave trade island that was reported, and when he was challenged in court, you know, it's English court and they all got big wigs, and he said, "Its existence, sir, is reported." So this video exists, and people in America are smart and they can make their own decision. You Chinese CCP bots, American people can make their own decisions about what they believe to be true and what they believe not to be true. Now, I think this next thing we're going to is disinformation mode, okay? And nothing against John Solomon. He's reporting, you know, what's being told to him. But anyway, let's take a look at this. I'm going to take you to an article from Just the News, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, this is actually TMZ, and I'm going to read the headline because a couple of things are happening with this article here. Nashville bombing. Bomber may have been paranoid over 5G technology. Now, listen how they word this. The Nashville bomber may have had a motive that had nothing to do with hurting people. It seems the FBI believes he may have been paranoid over 5G technology. Okay, I used the TMZ article because that's what came up first on my computer, but I heard about it from John Solomon through Parler and Just the News. But, and I'm way off track, so stick with me. Folks, I use DuckDuckGo, but DuckDuckGo is kind of like Google Lite. I actually prefer Dogpile. They do a lot less of suggesting what my next word might be, but I digress. Everything about this feels like it's manufactured to me. And did you notice that, let me go back to the article. I can see it, y'all can't, but I'm going to read the Nashville bomber may have had. The Nashville bomber. We don't even know if there is a Nashville bomber. We know that something exploded in Nashville, but see, they've already manufactured that there's a Nashville bomber. And what are they called? The Nashville bomber. And the person of interest is Anthony Quinn Warner. So guilty or not, Anthony Quinn Warner is the Nashville bomber. And then look at what else they establish here. The FBI interviewed a Nashville real estate agent. Now, John Solomon mentioned him by name, doesn't matter, who had hired this guy Warner, evidently this RV owner, to do IT for him. Now get this, agents asked the realtor if Warner had mentioned anything about his feelings toward 5G technology, but he had not. So the story is he may have been concerned about 5G. Why? Because he never mentioned it to anybody, but you get that inserted into a news story and voila, you've created a narrative.
Meanwhile, the FBI says more than 250 agents and employees are on this case to hopefully bring about a rapid conclusion.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a question, and please leave your answer in the comments. I would really appreciate it. I know what my answer to this question is, and here's the question. Do you believe anything? I'm working on that. See, I'm from Tennessee, and my mom from Mississippi used to say anything. But do y'all believe anything that the FBI says about anything? Do you? I just gotta be honest with y'all. I don't believe nothing they say. I don't believe anything that they say. And I'm gonna give you a reason why. And we're gonna go back in history just a little bit about the FBI, okay?
As the government proclaimed justice for all impacted by the bombing, the people back in Oklahoma still sought the truth and knew now they were on their own. The list of questions continued to grow due to the mysterious death of Oklahoma City police officer Sergeant Terrence Yakey. Terry Yakey, unlike the rest of Oklahoma, may have known too much.
By the way, and this is totally irrelevant, my mom passed away. It'll be 10 years ago this upcoming February. And I was 8 years old when we moved to Ohio from Tennessee. She was from Mississippi, and she never lost that accent of hers. And she had all these facial expressions. My mom had lung cancer, and she lost a lung and lived another 7 years. And for those 7 years, I don't think she missed a Wednesday going to the 4-county jail in Northwest Ohio to participate in a Bible study for women. And I miss my mom very much, and that is a total digression. But, Mom, I miss you. Okay, so my brother had reminded me of Terrence Yakey. Terrence Yakey was a 30-year-old police officer in Oklahoma. He was writing a traffic ticket when the Oklahoma City bomb went off, and he left that scene immediately, and he went to the bombing site, and he pulled 8 people, probably saved 8 lives. And by the way, that bomb was supposed to be an ammonia bomb. Well, how come he was able to breathe? And he did not buy the narrative that was being, that was the narrative that was advanced by the FBI. He kept acquiring evidence, enough evidence that he rented a storage locker. Some of y'all may remember this. I'd forgotten it. He rented a locker that was a good hour's drive from where he lived. And he was compiling evidence that he was going to present to the powers that be. And Terrence Yakey had told a friend the day that he came up missing that he had to take some items to the storage locker, and that as soon as he shook the feds that were following him, he would join his friend for dinner. Well, nobody ever saw him alive again after that. I'm going to read you the paragraph that is probably most telling that I could find about his death. But I will just say this. Bombs and people that are curious about them don't do well with a certain 3-letter agency. Constantine report, the strange death of Terry Yakey, Oklahoma bombing first responder. Read this paragraph. It's important to note how, exactly, Yakey is supposed to have killed himself. He was said to have slit his wrists and neck, causing him to nearly bleed to death in his car, and then miraculously climbed over a barbed wire fence. He was then purported to have walked over a mile's distance through a nearby field eventually shooting himself in the side of the head at an unusual angle. Startlingly, no weapon was found at the scene of the body, no investigation was conducted, no fingerprints taken, and no interviews with family members or friends were had to try and determine why Yakey would have been suicidal, or if he in fact had been suicidal at all. Instead, the conclusion that Yakey's death was a suicide was reached immediately without an autopsy. Now, I said I had a theory when we started this video, and I'm going to get to that. I will tell you that it involves three-letter agencies. But Terrence Yakey was, we just read the account there. But this gentleman supposedly had been stabbed multiple times, had bled a lot in his car, had slashes on his wrists, and then supposedly hiked 1.5 miles through some pasture land and then woods, and then somehow was able to shoot himself at a very odd angle. And at least one report said he was able to do that with his hands tied together as he reached around a tree. That would take a lot of talent. And it was immediately ruled a suicide. They never interviewed his family members, and they never did an autopsy. It was just boom. It was a suicide. What does that sound like? It wasn't FBI. What was that other three-letter Southern agency? Oh, it was the GBI. It kind of sounds like Jamie Sullivan from Chatham County, doesn't it? In Georgia, who would have been over the crash site for Harrison Deal. Folks, I guess I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, but I'll get to my theory, and I'll try to real succinctly say it. But there's one more clip I gotta play that's just in the totally go figure land. You've probably already seen it, but for the sake of this discussion, let's just play the mayor, looking really sharp, of Nashville, Tennessee.
Everything and make sure that, this is the only explosion that's going to happen in Nashville today. The dramatic thing, if you were closer, is the broken water mains do lend a certain drama to the scene, for sure. So all that, it's a hard thing, but that's why I'm feeling calm. Well, we are a famous place, and
lots and lots of people have taken note of how bizarre this mayor's behavior is. That's why the clip is so easy to find. But you're laughing, and is that a nervous laughter? Why is he laughing like that? Why is he carrying on that way? Who has talked to him? Who has conditioned him as to what he is supposed to say if he's interviewed by any media? Who has conditioned him, instructing him to go before the media and to speak a certain way? Or is that all just generic? What is going on in the back of his mind? It's very, very bizarre, very, very curious. And so I'm going to give you my theory. Okay, I had to develop a little prop. So in presenting my theory, and that's what it is, fact checkers, it's a theory, it's an opinion. I'm going to present two hypothetical possibilities and then something that I believe to be like 99% accurate. So let me start by saying this bomb, this explosion, it could have happened at the hands of this Warner guy with the RV, if that was his RV, but it also could have been carried out by these guys. Oh, yeah. Do I think that's possible? Oh, yeah, I think that's possible. So that's my first hypothetical. Am I saying that happened? No. Am I saying it could be reality? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And then as far as this Warner guy with the RV, okay, he might be a kook. But think about this, folks. Does anybody listen to your phone calls? I just watched an Edward Snowden interview earlier today that somebody sent me. Does anybody keep track of your emails? Does anybody have the ability to develop a profile on you or any other person in America that is ever online And the answer is yes. So let's just say that was the perpetrators and you needed a scapegoat. How hard is it to scour through your database and find a likely patsy? And, you know, I mean, goodness sakes, my conspiracy mind is running all over the place. But, you know, you could cook up this story. And, you know, this guy could be he could be crazy, but he could be as innocent as the wind-driven snow. Somebody could have stolen his RV in the middle of the night, parked it down there, planted a cover story. You don't know. But one thing you do know is you've already got the media saying the bomber and mentioning him. And I thought when there was an investigation, you kept things, you know, quiet. You know, well, we can't interfere with the investigation, so we would never leak a name of a suspect or anything like that. You know, it would not surprise me if this guy's in it, and then the innocent, and then the 5G thing could that just be a smoke screen? But here is the part of the theory that I have, that the rest of that's just hypothetical. But this, I mean, I'd stake my claim on this, folks. We're never going to know. We are never going to know exactly what happened with this until or unless these agencies are leveled and everybody's fired and we start all over, because this is the same agency that sat, excuse my language, with Hunter Biden's laptop up their rear end for a year and never said anything. This is the agency of James Comey. This is the agency of Peter Strzok. This is the agency, I didn't even have time to get into it, where Chris Krebs is saying a month before the election, I'm Chris Krebs. Sounds like he just got finished with a lobotomy operation, and he's talking about how secure the election is going to be, and yet has the FBI done anything? I did it good that time. Anything. Has the FBI done anything to investigate any irregularities? The only thing that I know is the gentleman that drove a couple 100,000 ballots from New York to Pennsylvania. They grilled him for 4 hours, and then they harassed his family members. Other than that, I don't know of a thing that they have done. So, folks, that's, for what it's worth, that's my take on this. My take is we're not going to know what happened with this, and if we ever learn the truth, it is not going to be revealed to us from those guys. Never will. Do we really know what happened with JFK? Do we really know what happened with the towers? Oh, and I just have to say this. I was almost finished, but I just got to say this. If we are supposed to have confidence in these folks, I want you to think about this. A day before, Tony Bobulinski, former business partner of Hunter Biden, went on TV with Tucker Carlson. He handed all of his devices over to whom? Who did he hand them over to? Now, I want you to think about this, folks. I don't know personally any forensic cyber people that are of the caliber of like the people that Patrick Byrne hires or Dr. Shiva, but I know some pretty smart people, all right? And if I was head of the FBI, I could have given them those devices from Tony Bobulinski and said, guys, I'll give you 3 days. And at the end of 3 days, I want you to come back and tell me there's either something there or nothing there. If there's something there, we'll give you time when we go to court to, button up and batten down the hatches and dot all your I's and cross all your T's. But I want to know in 3 days if there's something there. Have we heard anything? Have we heard anything? And would that have been an unreasonable request to make? I think not. Okay, just wanted to leave it right there. Folks, it's important to pray. Anything can happen in the next 10 days. Keep the faith, keep the energy, keep the faith until January 6th. God's got this. It's going to turn out all right. But these are the kind of people that need to see justice. These are the kind of people. These are the institutions where heads need to roll. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please leave a comment. That is helping us quite a bit. please go to ohioforfreedom.com, sign up, and beginning of the year we'll send you an email whenever we're going to send out a post. And if you want to send us a tip so we can improve some equipment, that's appreciated as well. Until next time, God bless you. God bless your family. God bless the state of Ohio. We are getting to the state of Ohio. And God bless the United States of America.
I hear the sweet sound of freedom, and I won't be